Okay, folks, in this video we're going to take a tour of the interior of the Emperator. You've probably already seen the exterior, either on Geo the Explorer's stream or AngryDad, his Burning Dad stream, or Seripis also very kindly showcased the ship on his stream. You also may have seen her at market or parked at Gotmart or getting around Alioth in particular. Um, also did quite a detailed exterior sort of fly around available on YouTube called the Emperator Sneak Peek. So this is really just to show you all of the fit out. It's also the other purpose of this video is for those that do purchase the blueprint. It takes a while to learn your way around such a large ship. It's basically a flying city. So this video will also serve as a guide for purchasers of the Emperator. We're going to start down here in the entrance hall here. Move up, have a quick look at fuel, cargo, and core area. Then the promenade from there, the captain's ready room, the bridge, and the crew decks, and then loop back around and take a look at the flight deck. At the end of this video, I'll also explain the 3 different versions of this blueprint that are available. The 2 experimental builds over here are the what's called the bare bones version, which has all of the most expensive stuff stripped out. It's a cheap build for people with just basic Atmos. And also the space only version, which is also much cheaper to build as it only has space engines, no AGG, etc. But this version we're going to take the tour of, which has extra everything, is the advanced version. In each of these ships parked up here at the Megabosslord store too, we've got a little sign here sort of explaining the features of each of the versions of the Emperator. Each have a different coloured insignia as well to indicate which version of the Emperator you're looking at. So in the entrance area here, we've also got a VR terminal, so you can also come and visit the Emperator from here under Emperator by Megabosslord. But let's get into the tour. So basic voxel decorations here in the entrance, tanks and whatnot. We'll come back a little bit later and have a look around the engine bay here. Mostly she's running on maneuver and freight engines. Then we've got our 4 uncommon military space. But let's start out here on the left. One question I have had is, why do I put 4 elevators? This is only on the advanced. Same reason there's multiple elevators in the tutorial tower, is it's just easier to get up here, jump on it, and tap your way up the elevator rather than having to sort of shimmy yourself onto a single pad. So, fuel, core, and cargo. In this area, you can see here, we've got access to, also sitting over the center of mass, all of the cargo hubs. 2 of the cargo hubs are linked up especially to deal with either materials for the repair unit, onboard repair unit, so that you can take a snapshot of the ship, load it up with some of the basic stuff like lights and honeycomb and whatnot for repairing the ship, and also the warp core link as well. So you've got a dedicated bank of cargo containers that also contain your warp cores, and then the 2 outside are obviously just pure cargo. Also in this area we've got all of our fuel tanks. You can see on each batch of 4 tanks here what they relate to, because depending on what you're using her for and your style of flying, you may find that you're doing long lateral thrust runs. I do a milk run around a bunch of mining outposts around Alioth, so I use a lot of lateral thrusters just to fly around between those bases. There's 3 engines per tank, so 12 engines per bank of 4 per sign here. And then on this side here we have our hovers and vertical thrusters, port and starboard on either side, and we have more lateral thrusters here in the middle. Along the bottom row here, we've got all our vertical engines. So she does have verticals and hovers and vertical boosters and hovers, and obviously all your lateral thrusters. She's got some of everything, and this is just because in different scenarios you want to be able to pop into the pilot seat and have her automatically hover up a little bit, especially if you're taking off from a landing pad that's got other ships on it, or you're taking off in the wilderness and there's rocks and things to avoid, or small hills. I like having both vertical thrusters and hovers. Vertical thrusters to get over any more significant obstacles on your takeoff, but enough lateral thrusters and ailerons to really get up out of atmosphere without relying on the verticals for that. So she's got everything. She's got a lot of everything. Then from here, from the cargo and fuel area, we go down this staircase here to the core. The core is double sealed. You've got a door here that you can put security on. You've also got a force field as well, just to control access to your core. We've also got our lithium panel armouring air-gapped around the core here as an extra layer of protection for the core. The armouring on the ship in general, you've got 20 layers of honeycomb out on either side because of the legs, which take up a lot of space in the core outside the ship to the port and starboard. Above, you've got a crap load of elements also acting as extra armour for the core, plus several decks above. So the most vulnerable spot in terms of taking fire, damaging the core, is under the belly here. So the belly also has several layers of honeycomb here, just under where the core is. That's all multiple layers of honeycomb and an extra layer of lithium panel there as well. So the core is well armoured from all directions. So that's your cargo area, fuel tanks, and core. Pretty straightforward. Got access up here via stairs up to the promenade, but we'll pop back down via the elevators here. So next, from the entrance hall here, next set of elevators takes you straight to the promenade. The promenade here contains a store, which I've left in the blueprint in case you do want to sell anything from your ship. When this ship does tend to attract an audience when you arrive at a location, so it's a good opportunity to also sell your wares wherever you go. I've just dropped half a dozen sort of random blueprints from my own store here in these side bays, and then sort of featured on the promenade are the 3 different versions of the blueprints for the Emperator in these displays. Here, your bare bones, your advanced, and your space only. So you can come and purchase the blueprints for the Emperator here inside the ship, or over in the Megabosslord store. Now, the promenade is also the main access to over here, the crew decks, which we'll come back to, and the captain's ready room. But most importantly, we've got access to the bridge via here. Now, the bridge is totally sealed with force fields. I've got it set at the moment on what I call proximity mode, which just lets anyone in who approaches. But because all of your programming boards and lure elements on the ship can be modified, I will unlock all these elements. They're on a composite tag on the DRM, so that purchasers of the ship can customize all of their screens and elements like this that contain your configuration for your security. You can modify this lure quite easily to specifically list on the detectors, player IDs, so that only specific players have access to the bridge, so you can secure your bridge that way as well. That's force fields, obviously, then as part of that security system, cover all entrance points to the bridge up here around the mezzanine as well. So yeah, she's on proximity mode at the moment, but uh, that's easily modifiable to control access to your bridge. You've got enough screens here to put whichever damage reports you prefer, your warp calculator. But I just want to quickly show you this one screen here contains some custom lure. Because of the large number of fuel tanks, most of the fuel monitor scripts that are around won't handle that many tanks. So I've got a custom script here. Now this script is set up on to only activate on proximity as well. You see a little light in the middle of the console there that only comes on when I'm in range. The reason for that is because there's so many fuel tanks here, this is sort of a backup fuel system separate to what's on Arch HUD, which comes installed on the command chair. This lure uses a bunch of programming boards to link directly to the fuel tanks rather than linking via the core. So that means that all of those variables have to go through a databank here, which is why if you don't want to leave this running all the time because it can cause some lag. So she activates on proximity, and you've got all 30 fuel tanks listed here, all your Atmo tanks. Space, because there's only 4 of them down there in the fuel bay. Pretty easy to just sort of monitor the volumes yourself, either there at the tanks or via your HUD. So this custom lure also will be accessible via your programming board if you purchase the ship. So this is all of your supporting sort of screens. Up here at the command chair, we've got some extra screens as well. This is a spare one that you can use just with some instructions at the moment explaining the layout here, but you can use that for whatever you want. This screen here contains the backup AGG controller, and I say backup because you also have AGG control via Arch HUD. This is, some people prefer one over the other, so you've got both. You can either control your AGG via the HUD, or you can control it here at this terminal. Hellodyne's excellent AGG control script. This is also handy if you're not in the control seat and you want to drop out of AGG to land, or you're running around checking something else and you just want to quickly check that your AGG status is on. To activate this control, to override the control that's running on the HUD, you just tap this button here, which will reinitialize your AGG control, and then you've got all those controls there as a backup to the HUD. The other thing I want to show, you'll also note here, I've got all my pulsars just sort of stacked in this area here. It's so cliche putting your pulsars on the outside of a ship, like that's impressive anymore. The reason I've just stacked them up here in the nose of the ship was around balancing the weight, because you've got all your engines down the back, just helps her fly a bit better. So I've got air brakes and pulsars stacked up in the nose for extra weight. Actually, before I jump in the command chair and just show you one of the features of this layout, you'll also notice we've got an emergency exit here if you need to get out of the cockpit in a hurry, which will take you out without having to run back through all the elevators and whatnot to get out of the ship. You could also even fit a small craft in here, given the size of that gate, if you wanted to, a little runabout in here for emergency egress as well. Just quickly jumping back into the command chair here. You'll notice on the command chair here, I've got her angled down. The reason for this is that most of us fly in sort of that third-person view, especially a large ship like this, where you really want to be able to see what's around you. It's very hard from the command chair to get a sense of what obstacles you might be coming up against. The main purpose of the chair, outside of third-person view, is to give you this view straight down. You've got a vertical view here from the chair looking straight down below the ship. This is just handy when you're landing on landing at market and you're looking and you're trying to navigate into an empty space, or dodging any obstacles, or trying to do any precision landing, because the chair's angled, you're looking straight down here, at what's below you, which it's the one view you can't really get clearly in third person. So you just toggle out of third person and you can see straight down there. Makes landing a little bit easier. So that's enough of the bridge. You'll also notice this artwork up here on this large screen. Again, large screen, customizable. You can put whatever you want here. All the lure elements will be unlocked if you purchase the blueprint. But this actually does serve a purpose, even though it just looks cosmetic. This is also just to remind you when you're getting around the ship where your repair unit is down the back here, and where your 3 territory scanners are, one centered at the back and one out on either of the forward legs, just so when you're positioning your ship over the intersection of 3 hexes, you can just go, oh shit, where's my territory scanners? There they are. So it also helps to jog your memory around the location of some key items around the ship. So that's enough on the bridge. Let's now pop up to the crew decks and take a look around there. So crew decks all up here in the upper forward area of the ship. I'll start up here with you've got some conference rooms here on either side for holding your meetings with your gang. You've got a large passenger area at the front here. I'll show you my little blast shield toggle here. There we go. And then you've also got up here access to some extra space, which you can use for various things. I've just got my respawn up here and my VR point, but this, you can use this for whatever you want. It's a bit of unused area, possible future expansion. But the main feature of this crew deck area is these berths here, where you've got some cozy little crew quarters. So your bathroom, your beds. This is your sort of VIP accommodation. There's another little area up in here where you could potentially put some more accommodation for your third class passengers, but this is the main cabin here. There's an emergency exit from the accommodation here down via this little staircase here. You've got some extra storage, but you can drop out of here straight out under the nose of the ship as well. So there's 2 of these cabins, here and here. The other feature of this sort of crew deck area is this little lounge here, which contains the infamous hologram here, set up on proximity, because obviously due to the limited number of screens that you can run at one time, once you come close to the hologram, your other screens will stop rendering. But you get your ship hologram here in the lounge. So this is the crew area. It's all pretty straightforward. You do have access to the flight deck, which we'll come back to in a moment from here, and you also have access here from the crew decks by this sort of service catwalk, which is useful for getting around doing repairs and whatnot around the ship. Missing handrail here, so you can make it easy to jump down and get to your warp core in particular. But we'll come back and have a look at the flight deck in a moment. So that's the crew decks here. The other important point here is these elevators here on either side are a shortcut to your territory scanners. The way I use her is if I anywhere I go, I quickly scan the 3 tiles in the area. So I can quickly just jump in here. Takes me over inside the the forward leg, start the territory scanner, jump back, pop over to this side, same again, jump into the leg and start that territory scanner, and then run down the back here. You'll see the third territory scanner is down there in the engine bay. You won't go out into the legs very often, but you can get around here via stairs, which takes you through a cute little tunnel. This little pipe here that you're walking through is actually the large silver pipe that's visible on the exterior of the ship that I've used as a little hallway to get you to the stairs if you want to come in the long way to access those territory scanners. So that's the crew deck area. Now back here on the promenade, we also have access to the captain's ready room. A couple of features of this: the captain's ready room not only has its own sort of viewing bay up here at the top of the nose of the craft, and my little hexagonal illumination here using the voxels up here to highlight the ship insignia, the lounge area, the command chair here. You can sit and invite your subordinates in to issue your instructions, but also importantly the ready room has direct access here via this emergency egress to the roof. So from here you can see your large space radar and your large atmospheric radar, both via this sort of secret entrance in the back of the captain's ready room. So, moving right along, we'll return to the promenade here, and then from here we'll return to the entrance hall, and as per the map here you can see direct access to and from the flight deck to the entrance hall here. So the flight deck is also where you will find your warp core there. Access to the flight deck with another gate here. The flight deck is large enough to also park a number of ships inside here. Access here in the floor to your shield generators, so you can get to them both from the flight deck but also from below. This area is large enough to park a few smaller ships and maneuver them out onto the landing deck. You'll see here we've got our insignia for the version of the ship also, and we've also got access to our DSAT. But the staircases on either side here of the flight deck, of the hangar, also give you external access to the ship as well. There's not much out here to repair if it gets damaged. I mean, you've got your adjusters and whatnot, but there you go. That's your external access from the flight deck. From the flight deck, we'll take a look at the service area, access to engines, containers, etc. So from here at fuel core and cargo, you have access via these catwalks to upper and lower catwalks for access to your large containers, of which there are 32. You also have access via these catwalks to the side here, physical access to the inside of the legs on either side of the ship, which we elevated over to earlier to get to that territory scanner. So this is how you'll get around and do most repairs if there's any damage. I also note here we've added a little bit of extra spice to the inside of the AGG, a little bit of extra highlight there of a sort of a plasma type highlight inside the AGG there. Um, this decoration on the back here, I tried to give it sort of a large Hadron Collider type look and feel, just jazz up the AGG a little bit, given that that is the most expensive element in the ship. So we've got access here to all of our engines. You'll also notice here we've got doors leading out through the engine bay at the back there as well. Access to the third territory scanner, and up here is your repair unit, which in an emergency you'll want to have a backup snapshot of the ship saved there as well to just speed up your repairing so many elements. I like to just have all of the small elements, programming boards, lights and honeycomb available for repair off the snapshot. Larger elements, obviously, you don't have to have carry a spare AGG. Here's our vertical engines. You can see here, pretty much all of the guts of the ship are all accessible in this area. So even though this service area contains most of the inner workings of the ship, your engines, your repair unit, your containers, your territory scanner, you won't find yourself coming into this area very often, since you can access most of the things that you need via your container hub console here and the bridge. The only time you'll come down the back here and directly want to access any of this is either to do repairs or activate that territory scanner. But aside from that, this is sort of your back of house. So that's pretty much everything for the interior of the ship. Couple of footnotes. She is an extremely expensive ship to build because she has one of everything: large shield, DSAT, AGG, repair unit, and a lot of honeycomb. The total cost to build the advanced Emperator is circa 384 million quanta. This ship is really targeted at ultra high net worth individuals and organizations. However, all three versions of the blueprint, for simplicity and because the bare bones and space only versions, which we'll take a look at now, are so much cheaper to build, with pretty much just a handful of engines, fewer adjusters and other elements, and the honeycomb. All three versions of the blueprint are 50 million quanta. So let's take a quick look at the bare bones and space only. You can see right away these are stripped down in terms of the level of detail inside. The space only version, here we go, has none of the atmospheric fuel tanks, which normally fill up this space here. Also stripped out is the lithium armor on the core, which makes it a bit easier to build if you just want to have the base hull for the Emperator, either as a showpiece or something to build from on your own. Also doesn't have the uncommon military XL space as well. Pretty much just engines and honeycomb. She's a lot cheaper to build for those reasons. Similarly with the bare bones version, a lot of that interior detail is stripped out as well, and you've just got your basic atmos, and again no less fuel tanks. and no space fuel tanks. So the bare bones and the space only are really sort of pared back versions for those that can't afford the 380 mil build cost for the advanced version of the Emperator. So that's the tour. The other place you can purchase these 3 blueprints is down here in the Megabosslord store. If we head downstairs in the store, various elements of the build are also available separately for sale here. The nacelle, the conference table, the catwalks, the hologram kit, the landing gear. So you can buy these individual elements DRM free for use in your own builds as well. And the blueprints for the advanced bare bones and space only versions of the Emperator are available down here at these stands below the Megabosslord blueprint store. Any questions, queries, comments on the build of the Emperator, DM me on Discord, Megabosslord. And again, yeah, if you do purchase the blueprint and you finish your construction, let me know. I'll come across and unlock all of your lure elements for you. Bear in mind that due to the large volume of materials and elements, you will need multiple large containers connected to, probably 3 large containers connected to a hub to collect all of your materials in one spot before you can complete the build. It is a mammoth project, but again, this is going to be a very rare ship due to the large investment required to complete the build of the Emperator. This is always going to be a rare vessel. These 3 are the only 3 in existence as at today, October 4th. If you do purchase an Emperator, you will be part of an elite group of ultra high net worth individuals flying around turning heads with your very, very large vessel. That's enough from me. Come on over to the Megabosslord store and have a look around. You can either VR in directly into the Emperator, you can VR to the Megabosslord store, or we're located 4 hexes west of District 9 Market on Alioth. Hope to see you here soon. Fly safe-ish. Megabosslord signing off.